Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GCP Podcast Under the Gulmohar Tree. Just as the Gulmohar Tree symbolizes growth and resilience, Under the Gulmohar Tree brings operators, investors, and M&A professionals together to share insights on scaling mid-market businesses. Through candid conversations, we explore leadership, innovation, and value creation, uncovering lessons and strategies to help you grow and thrive. Hi, Girish. Welcome to our GCP podcast. We are very happy to have you here as one of our inaugural guests. Welcome. And would you mind just providing a quick introduction for our audience? Where you are right now, what are you working on, any exciting projects, etc.?
Oh yeah, absolutely. First off, thank you for inviting me, Sumit. I've really enjoyed our relationship over the last 5 or 7 years at least. In terms of by way of introduction, I'm currently the CEO of BP Logix. We are an enterprise software company focused on review and approvals for regulated industries. Prior to that, I was the CEO of Workplace Answers, which was a compliance e-learning company. Both of these acquired through the search fund route, and obviously had the pleasure of being an investor at your company, Sumit, and getting the fantastic returns and the joy of seeing you build a great company.
Thank you so much, Girish. Really appreciate it. We've thoroughly enjoyed working with you and are so excited to ask the questions how you got here to the stage. Congratulations on such a successful career. And software. So you mentioned software. We love it. Can you share some key moments in your career that shape your journey from a technologist to CEO and a software investor?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's interesting. I was cruising along. I had a, degree in engineering and then a graduation from a business school. I was having a very successful career initially as a business consultant and then in a technology firm. The steady career growing top to the right, earnings and responsibilities growing. But somewhere around, say, about a decade of doing that, I started feeling this discontent, which sort of comes from, what is it that, I really want to do? And I just couldn't imagine myself in my, in the shoes of, my superiors. And, I wasn't really getting inspired by what the future held for me. And at that point, I recognized through some self-reflection that my path was towards entrepreneurship, and I just didn't have any specific sort of ideas, but I decided to sort of trust my gut, take the leap. I took a break from work, joined the Stanford Business School. Obviously you need a supportive spouse to do these kind of things, but I was fortunate to find my path towards entrepreneurship. Not exactly what I anticipated when I joined Stanford, but I had a lot of failed attempts at starting companies, but I was fortunate to find the search fund route of entrepreneurship, and I was able to successfully execute using that vehicle.
Perfect. Thank you, Garish. So you mentioned your education in engineering and business school, and we definitely have spoken about your experiences a few times. For our audience, can you let us know how has your education at IIT Bombay and Stanford influenced your leadership style and approach to business?
Yeah, great. Both of them, great experiences. I would say IIT Bombay was my undergraduation was more foundational, I would say. I think the two things that I really took away from my time at IIT Bombay, firstly, is just that engineering mindset that you sort of learn to solve problems in a certain way, however complex they are. And the second was, let's say, more subjective, of just that sense of confidence you get by, just being around smart people and just watching the accomplishment across the world of the alumni that sort of graduate from your school. So you look at them, they feel and sound like yourself, and it just inspires you in a way to feel like you can do something impactful. So I would say that those were the two things really from my undergrad at IIT Bombay, and Stanford Business School was, just I went there with a very single purpose. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to transition from, being a software exec to an entrepreneur. I just can't imagine a better place to make a transition like that. Just surrounded by professors who were themselves successful entrepreneurs, some of them investors, amazing network, and I think more importantly, I think I just became a lot more comfortable with taking that leap. I think for personally, I came from a background which was a lot more conservative from a entrepreneurial risk taking. I didn't have any entrepreneurs in my family, and so just being in that ecosystem where you were almost encouraged and inspired to take that leap made a huge difference to me. I would say one more thing is that I hadn't formally learned about the importance of soft skills, and I think Stanford had a huge role to play in sort of opening my eyes to that area of leadership where it's not just about the hard skills, but also how you lead and inspire that matters.
Thank you, Girish. That was super helpful. Talking about the leadership style, the soft skills, you were able to acquire a company and grow it successfully at Workplace Answers and exited, had a great exit. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about what were the biggest lessons and challenges from your time at Workplace Answers, especially during the high growth phase that you encountered?
Yeah, that's a great question. As any entrepreneur will tell you, unlike a typical corporate path, the entrepreneur's journey is rarely straight. You go through a lot of ups and downs and exhilarations and disappointments, and being able to carry your key stakeholders with you, especially during the downs, can be testing, but very critical. And, just as an example, during our 7-year journey at Workplace Answers, and it was a good outcome for, everyone that was involved, we increased the enterprise value 2x in the first 2 years. And that was exciting, and everybody was just fired up. And then we almost stagnated for the next 3.5 years, trying a bunch of things and mostly feeling like we were going sideways rather than upwards and onwards. And in the last 2 years, we added another 3x of return, right? So you go through those kind of periods, and especially when things are a little bit down, I think you have to dig deep, find that inspiration first for yourself, and then for your key stakeholders, which is really your employees, your investors, sometimes your partners, maybe even your customers. And so I think that sort of, and that can come through a power of, conviction, communication. I think that for me was the hardest, keeping people on track and during the downs.
Perfect. Let's double click on that for a minute, Girish. So Workplace Answers grew 5x under your leadership, as we discussed. Obviously not so linearly, but great outcome nonetheless. What were the key value drivers for scaling the business that could be applied to, let's say, other software businesses in general? So let's say your key takeaways in value drivers that you're applying to the company now and beyond.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the great things about the search fund ecosystem and the search fund path to entrepreneurship is that you're surrounded by an investor group that and some of them land up on your board that have seen success in a very sort of through a very diverse range of strategies, right? So you sort of have to be the person on the ground exploring, understanding firstly your situation with the company, the team, the market, and figuring out what out of that toolkit is going to be of relevance, right? Because there's no end to the range of value creation levers that you can pull, from product innovation to financial engineering and cost optimization and so on and so forth. For us, the needle moving value creation at Workplace Answers was firstly finding an adjacency to our core market that was just exploding in growth because of some changes in regulation. We were obviously in compliance, so regulation mattered to us. that was an adjacency that obviously we didn't know about initially, but sort of saw that, spotted it, and went after it very aggressively. I would say that almost 2x or the 5x value came from having spotted that adjacency. I would say another 1.5x just came through opportunistic acquisitions that we made. And honestly, the rest of it, approximately 2x just came from picking the right time and the right person to exit to. Exit is not something we were planning, and sometimes those are the best kind of exits where somebody just comes and makes a compelling offer that you just can't refuse.
Those are the best ones, right?
Yeah.
You touched upon this, Girish, and you and I personally have discussed this many times. So, as a value driver in identifying the key talent is critical. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you identify and nurture a high performance team at your companies to drive growth?
Yeah, that's probably one of the most important jobs of the entrepreneur. And I don't know that there is necessarily something you can teach there, but for my experience has been that for me there's like a 4 pillars of making that happen, or 4 pillars that have worked for me. First off, obviously a repeatable process to hire top talent. There's you need to have your way. For us, it was really built on the back of top grading, which is one of the many well documented approaches, and so we've tailored it to our unique needs. So just having your own way of bringing in talent, that is something you can sort of teach the others. Secondly, once you get talent on board, what are you doing as a leader to set them up for success? Because at the end of the day, you have equal, I think, responsibility to help those talented people be successful, right from setting clear expectations, providing them the resources, tailoring the job to their strengths, etc. Having a system of continuous feedback, because nothing ever is perfect from the first go. You have to sort of adjust to the changing market situations. And so do you have a way to provide continuous and constructive feedback? And finally, I'd say CEOs focus a lot on performance, not enough on health. And so health is how more than what, and it's just more forward looking. And so a lot of it is about what kind of culture are you building, and what kind of loyalty are you fostering towards the company. So I would say those are the 4 that have worked for me. I'm sure people have their own way, but finding that framework that suits you and your company, super important.
100% agree. Actually, let's triple click on that point on the culture that you mentioned. What role does culture play in scaling a business, and how do you maintain it through rapid expansion, especially through your own live examples?
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, in my case, most of my education was, like I mentioned, mostly heavily analytical, very hard skill focused. And, sometimes you have to sort of, force yourself to open your mind to just the importance of soft skills, something that you probably learn over time. I would say that, it's like, you're a CEO, you're on a treadmill, right? And you're setting the pace. And culture for me is like the incline of that treadmill. Like if you have a culture that supports your goal and vision, then you feel like you're running on a treadmill which is, flat or almost downwards incline. But if your culture isn't, then you're kind of working twice as hard. It's almost like adding an incline to that treadmill. So that's a huge leverage point, right? And so I think that paying attention to it, I think intentionally, because otherwise culture will happen to you, and that's something that you don't want to be a situation that you don't want to be in. So just being intentional about it, and regular intervals, sort of refreshing it and getting people energized about it. That at our company we have sort of articulated those. You live your culture through your values, so we have. Documented them, we share them, and every month we reward people based on those, which are independent of the general performance metrics that are out there. We have a channel on which we appreciate people It's called Cheers for Peers. It's on our Slack, and anyone can appreciate somebody else's work. And typically every week there's two or three instances of people appreciating others for what they do. So you have to sort of bring it alive and make it sort of obvious on a regular basis what those values are, and that your culture lives through.
Fantastic. Really appreciate the culture you're building at your company, Girish. Now, just flipping the script a little bit, you have another side as a software investor, right? Including your investment in Voxco. So, under the FinRock umbrella, what criteria do you prioritize when evaluating investment opportunities in tech businesses?
Yeah, it's obviously a very popular space over the last 10 years or so. From my perspective, obviously very focused on enterprise software as a space, and that's a space that I understand. So I tend to focus on that space. Often there's a lot, as you know, there's a lot that goes into what makes a good business. But I would say, from my perspective, a few things that stand out. Number one is the quality of the recurring revenue. That often is a signal for how mission critical is the underlying solution and how well the company is serving that need. Secondly, the relatively recent win-loss trends. Every business is an evolving business, and knowing in the last, say, 12 to 24 months what kind of win-loss trends are there gives you a sense of how good the product market fit is and how much there's focus and clarity in the value prop. I would say the third thing is the scalability of the customer acquisition model. If you're able to profitably acquire new customers, that creates a foundation for investing for growth. And lastly, every business is influenced significantly by what market conditions they're under. So are there specific tailwinds supporting the long-term growth prospects?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Girish. So, just digging deeper on that topic, you have both the lens, right? You have an investor and the operating executive lens as well. What trends in software and technology excite you most as an investor, as an executive in today's technology space, which is evolving very rapidly?
Yeah, so I'd say that there are two sort of mega trends. I think when you think about it from a technology perspective, one obviously is AI and how it's affecting our personal and professional lives. The second is gene editing and biotech. I am not directly involved with the biotech space in terms of sort of the gene editing and the actual clinical side of things, but those that understand and have some ability to play there, I mean that's going to be a huge transformational space. I tend to stick with software, and within our space, obviously AI is the big mega trend, and we used to say that software is eating the world, as AI is eating software now. So I do think it's going to be transformational. I mean, there is a little bit of hype at this point of time, but those of us who've seen the .com bust and boom, there's always a hype cycle that's followed by a more sustained growth. And so being able to figure out for yourself and your company where the hype will recede and where the real trends will emerge, and positioning your company is going to be super critical. And I'm super excited about the possibilities that it affords us at a personal and professional level.
Perfect. Thank you, Girish. So, one last question as we wrap up. You have many hats as a CEO, investor, board member, and there are only 24 hours in a day, sadly, right? So, how do you manage competing priorities as a CEO, investor, and board member across these different organizations?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it starts really with focus, right? I mean, so my primary goal at this stage is just to be a great software CEO, and being a board member just helps me be a better CEO. Being a software investor helps me be a better CEO. And so the way I think about it, all of these are sort of synergistic in that sense. and they're all contributing towards making me a better CEO. Being on the board helps me understand my board's perspective and helps me be more empathetic to my own board. Being an investor, helps me even when I'm giving advice to someone that I've invested with. I think just in the process of putting my thoughts together sometimes helps me clarify my own thinking, right? Even our conversation today sort of forced me to sort of organize my thoughts in a certain way, and I'm finding it insightful, and so I think it all falls together to just help me make a great software CEO, hopefully, and that's what I'm focused on at this point.
Fantastic. And that's a wrap, Girish. Thank you so much. I had so much fun asking you these questions, learning from your insights, and I'm sure our audience would appreciate it. Thanks once again to be on our podcast, and we look forward to have you again at some other time soon.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, and congrats on the successful exit of Voxco and the exciting journey with Gulmohar Partners.
Thank you, Girish. Much appreciated.